Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to IQ Illuminating Quran. My name is Sahar Rizk. I hope everyone is doing well. Today, inshallah, we'll continue with chapter 3, Al-Imran, verses 154 to 173. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ثم أنزل عليكم من بعد الغم أمنة نعاسا يغشى طائفة منكم وطائفة قد أهمتهم أنفسهم يظنون بالله غير الحق ظن الجاهلية يقولون هل لنا من الأمر من شيء قل إن الأمر كله لله يخفون في أنفسهم ما لا يبدون لك يقولون لو كان لنا من الأمر شيء ما قتلنا هاهنا قل لو كنتم في بيوتكم لبرز الذين كتب عليهم القتل إلى مضاجعهم وليبتلي الله ما في صدوركم وليمحص ما في قلوبكم والله عليم بذات الصدور. Then, after distress, he sent down upon you security in the form of drowsiness, overcoming a faction of you, while another faction worried about themselves, thinking of Allah other than the truth. The thought of ignorance, saying, is there anything for us to have done in this matter? Say, indeed, the matter belongs completely to Allah. They conceal within themselves what they will not reveal to you. They say, if there was anything we could have done in the matter, some of us would not have been killed right here. Say, even if you had been inside your houses, those decreed to be killed would have come out to their deathbeds. It was so that Allah might test what is in your breasts and purify what is in your hearts. And Allah is knowing of that within the breasts. So Yusuf Ali says, there were some of the Muslims who did their best to face the enemy and try to have the enemy withdrew to their camp. But there was a period after the fighting of a lull period, a rest period. The wounded were resting. They fought a hard fight, and then now they're kindly sleep. It's kind of a nature's nurse. They did the best they could. They did what they were supposed to do. They're not worried. They're just resting. They're wounded, recovering, kind of a blessing. The hypocrite, on the other hand, where their brain was working with false ideas and they're instead of resting, they are distressed caused by their own mental status. Sleep is just denied. Asad said, those who remain steadfast have this inner calm, and they were resting. There's a period of drowsiness of sleep. So they just rested. The other ones, they just thought false ideas about God. And they start saying, oh, if we were not here, we wouldn't have been killed. But it's all under the will of God. If He wills someone to be dead, he will be dead no matter where he's hiding. Just like Noah's son. He says, I'm going to hide upon this high rock, and nothing saved him. The wave came and washed him away. So Noah said, no saving today except by God's will. And that's what it is, God's will. Sha'rawi said, there are different type of people that day, the hypocrite and the ones who disobeyed and the ones who fought steadfast. Steadfast. The ones who left their post, they're supposed to say their post, and collected the weapons, they made that decision. Now, God forgive them because it was not that they're disbelievers, but for a faint moment they had a lack of judgment. So, because the way I was looking at it is these people caused so many to be injured and so many to be killed. I didn't think God will forgive them, but God forgive them because they have rights as they were fighting with the Muslims. It's just for a brief second they had a um, lap of judgment or lack of judgment where they just disobeyed, left their post, and they went after the weapons. It's still wrong, but it's not like the hypocrite because God knows what's in the heart. إن الذين تولوا منكم يوم التقى الجمعان إنما استزلهم الشيطان ببعض ما كسبوا ولقد عفى الله عنهم إن الله غفور حليم. Yeah, indeed, those of you who turned back on the day of the armies met, it was Satan who caused them to slip because of some blame they had earned. But Allah has already forgiven them. Indeed, Allah is forgiving and forbearing. Sharawi says, who turned back on the day the two armies met, God forgave them because they are still Muslims. But Satan found some weakness in them. Yeah. So it's just that they still fought the fight, but for a brief second, Satan found maybe greed or let's go and find and hide or whatever it is. Just a brief moment. Satan's influence. The Quran says Satan's influence, so he forgave him. A person's own attitude of mind, because God knows what's in the heart. They fought the fight. They just made a choice, poor choice. The duty of all who were able to fight is to fight. They're not quite bad as those who just went against God in the beginning and turned their back on the Prophet and disobeyed orders. They're not the same. But they still failed in their duties, their inner motives that God regards. So there are two types. One that just not believer hypocrites and they turn away completely, rejecting. But those who did the fight, but they just failed in some of their duties. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تكونوا كالذين كفروا وقالوا لإخوانهم إذا ضربوا في الأرض أو كانوا غزا لو كانوا عندنا ما ماتوا وما قتلوا ليجعل الله ذلك حسرة في قلوبهم والله يحيي ويميت والله بما تعملون بصير. O you who have believed, do not be like those who disbelieved and said about their brother when they traveled through the land or went out to fight. If they had been with us, they would not have died or have been killed. So Allah makes that misconception a regret within their hearts, and it is Allah who gives life and causes death, and Allah is seeing of what you do when you traveled on earth. So Darabu fil ardi travels through earth, or أو كانوا غزًا or went out for fighting. So either way, if they didn't go out traveling or didn't go out fighting, they wouldn't have been killed. But of course, we already said that's the will of God. They're going to be killed. If God wills them dead, they will die no matter what. Yusuf Ali says, faith makes people afraid of meeting death. Doing their duty involves danger, as traveling in order to earn honest living. So you traveling to for business or fighting also. If you have faith, there is no fear in meeting death. You know that the key of life and death is in Allah's hands. Nothing can happen without God's will. Dying is doing your duty, is the best means to reach Allah's mercy. وَلَئِنْ قُتِلْتُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَوْ مُتُّمْ لَمَغْفِرَةٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَحْمَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. And if you are killed in the cause of Allah or die, then forgiveness from Allah and mercy are better than whatever they accumulate in this world. Of course, you as a man of faith would not be for hoarding riches. Your wealth, your duty, and mercy of Allah is what you're supposed to strive for. وَلَئِن مُتُّمْ أَوْ قُتِلْتُمْ لَإِلَى اللَّهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. And whether you die or are killed, unto Allah you will be gathered. فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لهم لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين. So, by mercy from Allah, O Muhammad, you were lenient with them, and if you had been rude in speech and harsh in heart, they would have disbanded. They would have disbanded from about you. So pardon them and ask forgiveness for them and consult them in the matter, And when you have decided, then rely upon Allah. Indeed, Allah loves those who rely upon Him. Um, of course, the Prophet ﷺ, he was most lenient, and it's because that he was lenient that people are supporting him. If he was not lenient, غليظ القلب, harsh in the heart, they done faddo, they would have left you alone. They would have disbanded from about you. So he says, God said, pardon them and forgive them and consult them. But then that's what the Prophet ﷺ did. When, even though he had a strategy for the war, the majority voted against it, and he went along with it. So that's his strategy. That's his way. Is that he's lenient, and he consults them in the matter. Asad said, with those of his followers who had failed in their duties before and during the disaster of Uhud, uh, the Prophet did not even reproach them. That's his way, they've learned a lesson, a harsh lesson, because they saw their comrades wounded and killed. Of course, that's gonna, al-amr. So the orders, ma amruhum shura bainahum. That means they consult the consensus system. That's how the Islamic system is, that's run by the Prophet, is shura bainahum. They have the majority consensus. It means taking counsel with knowledgeable people. Ra Ahraya, Ahlarai, the knowledgeable people, and then they follow it. So yeah, the system is they discuss with the knowledgeable and reach consensus. It's not just one dictator amr, order. Yusuf Ali says the Muhammad, the nature of our Prophet ﷺ is one of mercy. He's mercy to all creatures. So, and because of his nature that bounds the souls around him, or countless men to him. إن ينصركم الله فلا غالب لكم وإن يخذلكم فمن ذا الذي ينصركم من بعده وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون. If Allah should aid you, no one can overcome you. But if He should forsake you, who is there that can aid you after Him? And upon Allah let the believers rely. وما كان لنبي أن يغل ومن يغلل يأتي بما غل يوم القيامة ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون. It is not attributable to any prophet that he would act unfaithfully in regard to war booty. They were spreading rumors, false rumors about the prophet. And whoever betrays, taken unlawfully, will come with what he took. So if they cheated and stole a horse from a war, treasure, they on the day of judgment he will walk in carrying that horse. So on the day of resurrection, then will every soul be fully compensated for what it earned, and they will not be wronged. So it's not, no prophet really um, would act unfaithfully, and especially our prophet, because he is most trustworthy. Al-Amin, he was called. A common view among non-believers that the prophet himself composed the Quran, thereupon falsely attributed to divine revelation. So they've been accusing him of wrongdoing, falsifying information, which it was not true. Uh, Yusuf Ali said Al-Mustafa was known for his earliest life, even before the message came to him of trustworthy. His title was Al-Amin. And but the hypocrite raised a lot of doubts, divisions of the spoils, thinking to sow seeds of poison in the hearts of men, believing men. That the Prophet ﷺ, instead of being wounded, severely wounded, and got up and actually motivated the warriors to go and face the enemies again, that he will be really going after a little war possession and be deceitful about it. It's just so. Prophet of Allah, do not act from unworthy motives, especially Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he was al-Amin, trustworthy. Prophet of Allah is not to be judged by the same standard as a greedy nature. He's a leader. He leads by example. أفمن اتبع رضوان الله كمن باء بسخط من الله ومأواه جهنم وبئس المصير. So, is one who pursues the pleasure of Allah like one who brings upon himself the anger of Allah and whose refuge is hell? And wretched is the destination. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as well as prophets in general, falsely attributing his own views to God or distorting his messages by arbitrary interpolation and deliberate changes in the worldly of revelation. So it's not, he's most likely, the prophets fall in pursue the pleasure of Allah because they were chosen for a reason. They were, God revealed his message to them. They will not be the ones to go out and cause anger. That's not the message. هم درجات عند الله والله بصير بما يعملون. They are varying degrees in the sight of Allah, and Allah is seeing whatever they do. لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. Certainly did Allah confer great favor upon the believers when He sent among them a messenger from themselves, reciting to them His verses and purifying them and teaching them the book and wisdom to be able to teach it themselves as well. Although they had been before in manifest error. أولما أولما أصابتكم مصيبة قد أصبتم مثليها قلتم أن هذا قل هو من عند الله هو من عندي أنفسكم إن الله على كل شيء قدير. Why is it that when a single disaster struck you on the day of Uhud, although you had struck the enemy in the battle of Badr with one twice as great, you said, "From where is this?" Say, "It is from yourselves. Indeed, Allah is over all things competent." Many followers of the Prophet ﷺ been convinced that whatever circumstances God would grant them victory on account of their faith alone. But in Uhud, it was different because God is reminding them that whatever calamity they had or consequences they had to face, it was their own doing. Some of them just were not true or disobeyed rules or orders. Whatever happened to them it's not without permission of Allah. He wanted to test and purify their faith. If they disobeyed orders and neglected discipline, they must attribute the disaster to themselves. So it was a test. Some of them failed, but it was all a process of purifying their faith. وَمَا أَصَابَكُمْ يَوْمَ الْتَقَى الْجَمْعَانِ فَبِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ وَلِيَعْلَمَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And what struck you on the day the two armies met was by permission of Allah, that He might make evident the true believers. It's a test from God. وَلْيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ نَافَقُوا وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ تعالوا قاتلوا في سبيل الله أو ادفعوا قالوا لو نعلم قتالا لاتبعناكم هم للكفر يومئذ أقرب منهم للإيمان يقولون بأفواههم ما ليس في قلوبهم والله أعلم بما يكتمون. And that He might make evident those who are hypocrites. For it was said to them, "Come, fight in the way of Allah, or at least defend." They said, "If we had known there would be fighting, we would have followed you." They were nearer to disbelief that day than to faith, saying with their mouth what was not in their hearts, and Allah is most knowing of what they conceal. They were asked to fight for the cause of Allah. 300 men who, on the way to Medina, forsook the Prophet on a precious plea, and they did not really intend to give battle, so they walked away from him. Their defection from God's cause almost amounted to denial of him, which is kufr. It made them non-believer or close to it. Hypocrite in their minds was nothing but cowardness. Pretending to be Muslim, they were nearer to unbelief. They left their devout uh, brethren to defend their faith and ideas. They might at least have defended their cities. Now, just think of this as the enemies are coming to the city. Now, those who defended, they didn't just defend the believers. Those that were killed and wounded, they did not just defend the believers, they defended their city, believers and non believers. And these people, they could have at least defended the city, their families, their homes, but they failed to do that. الذين قالوا لإخوانهم وقعدوا لو أطاعونا ما قتلوا قل فادرءوا عن أنفسكم الموت إن كنتم صادقين. Those who said about their brothers while sitting at home, if they had obeyed us, they would not have been killed. Say, then prevent death from yourselves if you should be truthful. ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. And never think of those who have been killed in the cause of Allah as dead. Rather, they are alive with their Lord, receiving provision. Martyrs in the cause of truth, they are not dead, they're alive. Even those who have no faith in the hereafter, they honor those who die in their cause. Because remember, the unbelievers were defended by those who died in God's cause. They defended them. So on the day of judgment, they will honor those who died in the cause of Allah, defending them. Through the gateway of death, they enter the true real life. فرحين بما آتاهم الله من فضله ويستبشرون بالذين لم يلحقوا بهم من خلفهم ألا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Rejoicing in what Allah has bestowed upon them of His bounty, and they receive good tidings about those to be martyred after them who have not yet joined them, that there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. The martyrs not only rejoice as the bliss they have themselves attained, it is part of their glory that they have saved their dear ones from fear, sorrow, humiliation, and grief in this life. So, they receive good tidings about those after them who have not yet rejoiced. So these people, they fought, they saved their lives, they saved people from sorrow, humiliation, and grief in this life. يستبشرون بنعمة من الله وفضل وأن الله لا يضيع أجر المؤمنين. They receive good tidings of favor from Allah and bounty, and of the fact that Allah does not allow the reward of believers to be lost. الذين استجابوا لله والرسول من بعد ما أصابهم القرح للذين أحسنوا منهم واتقوا أجر عظيم. Those believers who responded to Allah and the Messenger after injury had struck them. For those who did good among them and feared Allah is great reward. Men rallied around the Prophet who was wounded, and they were wounded, but they were all ready to fight again. Because the next day Abu Sufyan had challenged them. They were ready. They were ready no matter how wounded. They accepted the challenge, but they did not come out because remember, one of the neighbor who was not a believer but felt bad for the Prophet, seeing him wounded like this and seeing all Muslims wounded, he showed his concern, and the Prophet says, well, go distract him or go um, discourage him. So he went and he told him, I saw Muhammad and his army like I've never seen him before. So he created fear in Abu Sufyan and he turned away. So that's how they won the war, because they didn't show up. But God was looking out for them. Asad says, assume that this now you would think that this verse refers only to Muslims who only battled in Uhud, but it's actually all the martyrs who died in God's cause. This is in any time you die in God's cause. This verse refers to you. Refers to them. Sorry. Now this is the one that they were referring to. They were supposed to show up the following day, even though they're wounded, but they were ready. But no one showed up because God was merciful. He sent someone of the non-believers to help him. الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. Those to whom hypocrites said, indeed, the people have gathered against you, so fear them, but it merely increased them in faith, and they said, sufficient for us is Allah, and He is the best disposer of affair. Oh, okay. This is today's section. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.